Hello guys, you're back now. Just a recap on where we're at. 400 grit diamond stone. Flip side of the diamond stone is 1000 grit. So, sorry, really nasty chisel. That the blade was going at an angle, and I've just basically reground it by hand using my sharpening guide. All right, and using the primary angle, which is, sorry, the primary bevel, which is 25 degrees. Look, 25 degrees primary bevel. I don't know if you can see that. All right, so what you do, you put your chisel in the guide, and then that gives you the right, correct bevel. Okay, so when you then apply it, it's at the right angle. Now, we don't want to sharpen all of that. We just want to sharpen the tip. So we're going to set it up for the secondary bevel, which is going to be 30 degrees. All right, I'm going to set it up like that in a minute, and we're going to use the 1000 grit or the flip side of the stone. Okay, so we'll just give it a wipe down, and it was very hard work. It probably took me half an hour. So, as I said earlier, if you've got access to a Tormek and your chisel or your plane iron is that bad, it's probably a good idea just to give it a whip on that, you know. But it's not something I've got. It's not something that I've got at home. I've got one at work that I can use, but it does wear away. It does wear away your chisel. Right, so that side of it you see is 1000 grit. So we're going to sharpen it. Just sharpen the edge with 1000 grit. So ideally it's going to, let's move you along there. Ideally it's going to look, can you just see that edge is sharpened? Yeah, it's going to look like that. So that's going to be your primary angle of 25 degrees. That's going to be your sharpening angle of 30 degrees. So you just get that tip on it. Look, I'll try and get it to glint for you. All right. My favourite chisel is. Right, so let's clean this up a bit. Just a little bit. And as I said before, you're supposed to use water on them, but I use Windoline because it doesn't rust the stone. All right. Well, it doesn't rust it so easily, put it that way. All right. Right, so 1000 grit. And then we're going to set the sharpening guide up so it's the chisel just fits in those grooves. Look, so can you just see those grooves? Yeah, the chisel's just going to fit in those grooves like that. And we're going to set it up for 30 degrees. I don't know if you can see that, but when we use the 400 grit, we've just got a little burr on that edge where it's burred the metal over. I don't know if you can see that. And that's what we're looking to do. That's what we're looking to do with this. We're looking to just sharpen it, get a little burr. All right, so let's turn it round so you can see it a bit better. There you go, a little bit of that. And fingertips on the chisel and even pressure. Notice I'm centered up with a stone as well. Look. I'm going to go backwards and forwards. So you can get this free. You can do this freehand, but you might find that you're not getting a very straight. You're not sharpening it very straight or very true, which is what happened before. This is probably the sort of stone and sharpening station that I'd probably keep in the van and wouldn't take it out on site. I'd probably use my old one out on site if I needed to just give a chisel a rub up. And this one would be, say, kept in the van or kept in the workshop. So if we got rained off or you held up for whatever reason, I could just give my chisels a bit of a blast. Good thing to do this time of year, really. So let's give that a bit more of an edge. And we're just looking, I've just taken it off, we're just looking for a very gentle burr, almost like a hair, human hair. So that tells us that we've sharpened that edge up. Well, I've just taken that angle on there, gone a little bit far probably. Alright, but considering what the chisel started off as. And then we're going to just going to back it off gently. Nice and flat. Just polish the back of that up a little bit. You can see it's kind of like mirroring it up a little bit. Might just be able to see just a little hair appear there. Just there. That's like a little bit of bird metal. Not bad. Considering how it started off, it was quite bad as it started off. Now we've got the leather strop, so we can polish it up on the strop, and the strop's already got a bit of wax on it. Some people do that. Shave the hairs off your arm. I don't really like doing that normally. I don't like showing new people it, but you can see it's just taking the hairs off my arm. Right. I might give it another blast at 30 actually, because it was quite a savage. Needed quite a savage amount off it. So again, setting it up with the sharpening gauge, sharpening guide, 30 degrees. If it was already sharp and you wasn't starting from scratch, probably wouldn't want as much as this. You might only want about half a dozen half a dozen of these. It's just because it was so bad, I've had to take so much off. Right, okay. Just a couple of those light ones. That's better. I'll just give it a little strop on there. So you can actually put the chisel in the sharpening guide and then run it up and down a couple of times as well, but that's pretty good considering it started off worse than that one. Okay, just gonna turn you off.